Okay, so you clicked on the video, and my guess is that you, for whatever reason, but most likely as a student, are planning to come to India. Well, if that's the case, this is Not.So.Burundian here, and this is my story. It's 2016, and I am finally convinced that I needed to pursue further education. And so I decide to upgrade from my then diploma to a bachelor's degree. On the 24th of July, exactly, I take off from Burundi, flew all the way to the UAE in Abu Dhabi, where I was to transit and board a second flight that would fly me to my final destination in India, the state of Gujarat, in a city called Ahmedabad. And from then on, well, watch the rest of the video. This for me is 5 years later since the very first day that I came to India. Currently, I hold a bachelor's degree in automobile engineering, looking back to 2016 with 2021 hindsight. All right, let's get into it. Let me quickly rush through different titles that I think you might be interested in. The very first is, well, obviously, education. There are certain means that you could use to come to India that would help facilitate your education and stay in India. And two of those are scholarship schemes. The first one is SII. Now, this is Study in India program. What you need to know briefly is that they do not offer any allowances. Like, you do not get pocket money if you apply for the scholarship schemes. But however, they will cover your tuition fees, they'll cover your accommodation and food, your canteen, everything will be taken care of. But you have to, any other extra expenses will be covered by you, have to be covered by you. And then the second scholarship scheme that you should be looking into is ICCR, International Cultural Relations. Well, this is how I came to India. I applied through ICCR, and they do offer allowances, really good packages. You will be comfortable throughout your stay in India if you apply through this scholarship scheme. Now, education in India is pretty hectic, and I mean that in a sense that it is not like how we do it back home where, you know, classes are Monday to Thursday or Monday to Wednesday, depending on the field of study that you're in. Here it's Monday to Friday and sometimes Monday through to Saturday. With every course, it does not matter what course you're doing. Classes are full-time. The timings are ridiculous. For my first year, it was like from 10:30 to 5:25, and then it sort of improved from 9 a.m. in the morning to 4:30 in the evening. And then in my last year, that's like from the 5th semester to the 8th, the timings changed from 7 to 1:55 p.m. in the afternoon, which is crazy. Like, it is. I nearly gave up in my first year because I was like, okay, this does not feel like university, you know, because even high school wasn't this hard. But yeah, well, I made it through, and it does improve over time, and over time classes begin to, the number of classes that you have per day reduce, which is good because in my last year, even though we had full-time Monday to Friday classes, at least we were through by 1:55 and had the rest of the afternoon to do whatever else that you wanted to do. And that's education for the most part. But wait. One more thing that you need to know. Education here is catered towards producing workers and not innovators. What I mean by that is, for the most part, education is meant for, it is centered towards theory. It's books, and more books. Practicals are, well, depending on what university you find yourself in and how you are willing to engage with the facilities that are offered to you, for the most part, I would say about 55 to 60% of your knowledge, actually, let me just say 45 to 55% of your knowledge is gained in class, and the rest of it is something that you will have to cultivate on your own, find means to get there. And the other thing is our exams. Let's talk about exams. Exams are, memory has to be good because a lot of the answers are crammed perfectly. You write exactly what's written in the book and your marks will be assured. Answer the exams using your common sense and just picking up a bunch of keywords that will help, keywords that add value to your answers, and that's not what the examiners look for. Let me just say that. Yeah, so that's education. Now let's move on to the social life, which I think is something that most of you want to know about. And by social life, well, let's just be honest, you want to know what it's like dating in India. And not just dating, what it's like dating a local person. Well, I don't want to be the one that ruins your experience in India due to the fact that I was too chicken to do anything, too chicken to travel, too chicken to want to explore. But my advice to you if you come to India is do not expect to date Indian, especially if you are a young man, boy, male, whatever. And I say that because, well, this is the exact same country where arranged marriages are prevalent, where most likely than not, your classmate, that girl, has already been promised to a mate at birth. You get where I'm going with this. Most likely than not, you are trying to get into somebody else's territory. And I don't want to go too deep into that because there's been cases where, unfortunately and sadly, people have lost their lives because of that. So forget the Indian girl. Forget dating an Indian girl. And for my sisters, well, you know what society is like. The boys are much freer than the girls are. So the sisters will have a better chance at dating than the brothers. So, but don't worry about that. There's plenty of other there's plenty of other races, plenty of other people that you can date than the locals, and well, it's not going to be an issue for you in that sense. So housing in India is pretty cheap. Rent prices are pretty low, and that again depends on what city you live in, how close you are to the center of the city and the state. The prices range from 4,000 to 10,000 Indian rupees, which equates to about $60 all the way to 120 monthly, that is, which is really affordable. And once you pay rent, usually water, like for us here in the state of Gujarat, specifically in Rajkot city, water is something that we don't even think about. Like, we don't really pay for water here. The electricity bill comes once every 2 months. It's affordable. And food is something that you don't really, food is cheaper. Like on a monthly basis, we spend about 2,500, me and my housemate, that is 2,500 rupees each, which totals up to about 5,000. And that is basically $70 to $80 on a monthly basis. So if we total everything up together, we spend roughly about 8,000 to 10,000 monthly. Though housing is cheap in India, it's not easy finding a house. It's not that they're not available, it's that there are certain restrictions that pose as stumbling blocks when it comes to finding a place to live. You will come across things like religion, where landlords prefer people of certain religions, be it Hindu, Christian, Muslim, or whatever. Then there is caste, where landlords prefer people of certain castes. You know, if you're not of a certain caste, then they will not give you an apartment for rent. That happens, and it happens quite a lot. And then there is whether you are vegetarian or non-vegetarian, they look into that too. Some landlords don't want you cooking meat in the apartment. It's Gujarat state. Then you got stuff like whether you are a bachelor or a couple, whether you are male or female, all these things just add up together. It becomes more than one reason why you might not get a house as an individual. But when you do find it, then you most likely will not want to switch, because it is a hustle finding a house in the first place. Now, for the most part, Indians are friendly in nature. They are helpful. If you are stuck anywhere and you stop a random Indian, they are really welcoming, and they go out of their way to help you as a foreigner, so that you may be comfortable and you may find the things that you want. Now, this is true for mostly the elderly. The elderly tend to be, for the most part, they are really welcoming. And then the young fellows too are really welcoming. And the girls at large, they'll cater to you. You know, hospitality comes, it's part of the Indian culture. Now, that is not to say that you will not encounter slight, depending on where you live, really, but in other places, there's been reports of racism. This does happen, you will face it. There are things like people staring too much. There are things like people talking to each other in your face, and you can like really tell that they're talking about you, and they do not make any efforts to hide it. Now, this does happen. It happens quite a lot here. And you do get used to it after a while. You learn how to ignore it. It is up to you and how you choose to control yourself. And I do advise that for the most part, you check your feelings, because one thing that you should know is that when things pop off, Indians move as a mob. And most likely than not, for most of the cases, you will find yourself alone when you travel, when you move around. So you do not want to get into an altercation with one, because it will not be a one-on-one thing. It'll be a crowd against one person, which is you. And yeah, the outcome of that is just something that we do not even have to discuss here. But for the most part, your stay here will be great. They're good people. There's bad apples that you might come across here and there, but don't let that discourage you from coming here.